secondary improvements, the construction of the Mal's F, and the reimbursement agreement for the Mal's F construction.
Seems like we've seen this before, I think.
You have, you've seen it on the FAA approvals. This is the New York State DOT approvals.
Okay. Any questions?
I don't think there's any change. Is there any change to it?
No, same dollar amounts, same percentage, 2.5%.
Motion to approve? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Anne Marie, call the roll, please.
Mr. Andriano?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Coffin?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Ms. Whitten? Yes. Motion carried.
So agenda item A2, this is a reimbursable FAA agreement, or it's a special type of agreement. It's called an RA. Now what that means, this is where you have to pay the technical side of FAA to tell you how much they're going to charge you to build the project, and then the other side of FAA reimburses you for that. This is one of these weird reimbursable agreements. Reimbursable in FAA speak means you pay. So, yes, only with the FAA, or federal government. So what this is in total a $229,000 payment that needs to be made to the FAA, to the technical side of FAA. 218,000 and change is 95% funded by the FAA. New York State DOT kicks in their 2.5%, and we're on the hook for 2.5%, which is in this case $5,700.
So we actually get $218,000 from the FAA. We turn around, give them $229,000, and we get back $5,742.
Except that
No,
that's
the
not the right sequence.
$5,742 is what it costs us for this.
So that's not,
But don't we have to pay the 229 and then we get the 218
Yeah, so we pay
back? So we've got to find the money.
I'll oversimplify the process, but yes.
even to get the
We pay the
229.
We pay the 229, we get the I'm gonna round here, the 223 back. And then we have to, we're fronting that money for a period of time until we get reimbursed by the other side of FAA. So we're in the process of coordinating that, so that way, within a matter of days.
I was gonna say, how long is the reimbursement process? How long are we?
It's usually within about 3 days, we can coordinate that. One thing gets sent by overnight mail, the other thing gets sent by slow moving vehicle to a destination. And that way, everything's good.
So we're actually paying $5,700.
Yes. For this part only.
Well, once we pay 229.
Yes. At the end of the day, for this portion only, it costs us $5,742.
Only in America.
The dormitory authority will, if you don't have the money to pay the bill, they will consider sending you a check if you'll show them the invoice. The dormitory authority will. Yeah.
That's not for this?
No,
Oh.
I
was like, what?
Another system that
Oh, okay.
they really want you to pay the bill first. But they will.
But they're gonna give you the money to pay the bill if you show them that you owe the bill.
That's right. They will contemplate that.
Only in America can we have a system.
Yeah, that's it. Any additional questions?
Just what's a Mal's F, in case you're not familiar with it, or our viewers, a Mal's F are one of those poles that come up, have the lights on the poles with the flashers on the end. That's what we're talking about. Total cost of that project is $1.6 million.
And will that be completed by June of 2020?
No.
I don't know. I don't believe so, because we're, yeah.
So it will.
This is kind of the leading edge of that
Be
project.
later in 2020.
Yes.
Does that help us land better here?
Yes, it does. How many actual poles are there? I don't 8?
It's like 8 or 10, aren't
8 or
there?
10?
Yeah.
Two across the road and.
Another couple across the road.
Those are the high ones.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't lose a week on the way down.
So that's kind of what that project is in a nutshell. I know it's
We have talked about
kind of odd, but
years, it seems.
Well, it seems to me as if this is really, despite its complexity, a relatively routine step for us to take for a project that we've already agreed to do. And, you know, I don't mean to rush things, but I'd be game when the time comes to make a motion to approve
Make
this.
a motion.
I would move that we go ahead with this resolution.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Anne Marie, call the roll, please.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Coffin,
Yes.
Mr. Burns.
Yes.
Ms. Whitten,
Yes.
Mr. Adriano.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next?
Next up is A3. This is acceptance of bid results for vending machine services. We put the vending machine services at the airport out for a 30-month term, and there was interest from 4 firms, bid by 1, and the commission bid amount is 13%.
Did this come through facilities committee too at one time? Didn't it?
Yes.
Facilities a while ago.
Yeah, a long time ago, yes.
Finance, no, came through finance.
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 Oh, yes, I am sorry, it did come
Yeah,
from
finance,
finance. It was the,
Okay.
yep.
And it was one of many questions that's better than we had been getting before, is that right, or the same?
It's actually better. It was 10% before, it would be
Good.
13% now.
Good, 3% is 3%. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Anne Marie, call the roll, please.
Mr. Coffin,
Yes.
Mr. Burns.
Yes.
Ms. Whitten,
Yes.
Mr. Adriano.
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
motion carried.
Next?
You gotta love forms, and that's what agenda item A4 is all about. This is signature authorizations for Community Bank. Remember the pile you signed last time? We missed one, and that was specifically for the airport parking lot account. We need to have the individuals you see there on a corresponding board authorization to be able to have the ability to sign on that account.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Anne Marie, call the roll, please.
Mr. Burns,
Yes.
Ms. Whitten.
Yes.
Mr. Adriano.
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Coffin,
Aye.
motion carried.
Next, please.
Agenda item B1 is approval of supplement number 1 with MAC Global Design on the second floor of this building at the lease terms and conditions you see before you.
John, is this the one that came over last year?
Yes,
Good, good.
he's had some issues with visas and entering the country, so we're lucky that he signed again.
Good,
And still has some good plans to expand.
excellent. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Anne Marie, call the roll, please.
Ms. Whitten,
Yes.
Mr. Adriano.
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Coffin,
Yes.
Mr. Burns,
Yes.
motion carried.
Next?
Agenda item B2 is approval of a supplement number 4 with Barbara Pleat, who's been in the building here for several years in the Bridge Building, second floor. It's a 2-year term lease at the rates, terms, conditions you see before you.
I would move that as well.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Anne Marie, call the roll, please.
Mr. Adriano.
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Coffin,
Yes.
Mr. Burns.
Yes.
Ms. Whitten,
Yes.
motion carried.
Next?
Next up is approval of border station leasehold improvements. You'll recall from the border station agreement, there's a list of things that we need to do there. This is one of those items. This is for a lighting upgrade of the warehouse truck inspection parking lot. There were firms contacted regarding this, and you can see the corresponding prices there. Based on the recommendation of staff, we're recommending City Electric for 8 LED units for the border station improvement for a cost not to exceed $10,670. And you can see the quote on the corresponding page.
Just make a note, that's material purpose, or material purchase for the lights, and we figure our electrical contractor can install those in a day, day and a half, which, I don't know, you're looking at some probably under, for labor and equipment, probably under $1,200 to $1,500, so I just wanted to make you aware of that. But this purchase was so large, that's the way that you bring it on board.
Well, the 1,500 just for labor to install, right?
The labor and equipment, yes.
So there's approximately 12,000 that have to do with our contract with GSA. Is this something they requested?
Yeah, it was all part when John.
Yep.
John negotiated that earlier.
Part of the schedule.
And part of that all came to me just to, kind of we phased it over 3 years. Some of those were minor things that we could take care of, like painting and different things, but others are upgrades. And some of those, in the next budget, you'll see, if you'll recall, we did 2 HVAC units 2
Mhm.
years ago that failed. Well, the other 2 are still working, but they need to be replaced. Well, those things are all listed in there, and we'll be coming to you with, some of those will be recognized in the upcoming budget,
Right.
but this one is part of this year's, because it's a safety issue, we want to get it taken care of. They had a recommendation of what they wanted to see, but it's a means and method thing for us, that, so long as we get the lighting, or we meet what the standard is, how we do it is our call, even though they recommend, what they were recommending was quite pricey. And working with our electrical contractor, this is what we came up with.
Steve, an unrelated question, I just don't remember, is City Electric an MWBE fund
Not
as well?
anymore.
Not anymore, okay.
I had to research that, I was kind of hoping it was, but they've, I think they've lost their accreditation on that.
Okay, thank you.
Is Granger in MWBU?
No, but their New York State contract, with that, basically I went just on price. I could have gone to Granger and not even just come to you and said you're sole source to the New York State contract, but city can beat prices, so you get a little bit more off on that, so that's kind of where we went with that. Originally I thought they still were, but I had to ask them about that, and they aren't, with the MBE.
Thank you.
Well, this is one of those items I think Chris was referring to earlier, that if we were able to put some funds aside, because we have to make these improvements as part of the contract. I mean, we can never anticipate everything, but if we had a fund set aside, we wouldn't be hit maybe at one particular time, like you said, for the generators or the air conditioning units.
Yeah, and I don't know the mechanics of how we set that aside, but I can give you the number going forward in this budget, and then basically what do we have, one more year?
There's 2 more years, right?
Right, but they kind of wanted stuff that we're doing right now, which I consider this budget year is, some of those we're already knocking off. So I would say the coming budget year and the one after that, there'll be a number in there that we feel we're kind of, it's part of our agreement with them.
Right.
And then we'll see how
That
we,
addresses, in a sense, funding the
Yeah.
projects that we know about.
yeah,
Right.
and that, other than unknowns, that'll go to what you were talking about.
Yes.
And then it'll upgrade the facility quite a bit.
Good.
It'll be, as far as the water station goes, this will be the best work plan that we've had in a number of years in terms of what the border station needs and how to line it out, because we've got the schedule.
That's great.
Any other questions? The motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Discussion? Good. Anne Marie, call the roll, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Coffin?
Yes.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Ms. Whitten?
Yes.
Mr. Andriano?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next?
The last item is the, I'm sorry, second to last item, is approval of a surplus property minimum bids. You'll recall these items from last time. We did put them out to bid, there were no bids received. Therefore, the minimum bids value were lowered, and as this is the second round of bidding, if there are no bids this time, per policy, Steve Lawrence can dispose of it. But we've got some great deals on some vintage equipment.
It's vintage, being the
I
opposite.
almost said for project, huh?
Any questions for Steve? Steve, these are, some of them haven't been used in quite a while.
Yes, 3 or 4 years, and the one issue did have some people look, but the one issue they had was just moving it. It's just not reliable, and, there was a couple, you know, if you could just take it and place it in their pit.
Right.
But when they got looking at it, they just, you know, you could go a mile, you could go less than that, or whatever.
You want to go on to Kimball?
Right, no, and then you get caught up in something that costs you more money than it's,
Right.
so that was kind of theirs. And then, it was a little high on the truck. It has a really good plow on it. But no one seemed to bite on that, so I did hear people kind of talking, it was under 1,000 or something, so I just lowered it to that. But I do feel that, you know, condition-wise, that plow is worth more than that, but somebody will get a deal if they just get the plow. I don't know how much longer the truck will last, but that was, so we'll see. I think some of those things will move.
So some of the metal, if there's no bids on it, can we get money for it?
Yeah, and we can, but it's a lattice work, there's not as much metal as you think, but the motors, I know one guy was in there and he's got conveyors and he was looking at the size of those motors. So, you know, I said, if you have the insurance, you can take it apart and do what you want with it. And they may go that way, I'm not sure. But I know they were looking at the motors because there's a lot, two of those, they're less than 10 years old and haven't been used that much. They haven't been exposed to the salt though.
Right.
So, yeah, to answer your question, you know, if we do it, maybe we can salvage the motors and send them to somebody who'll purchase them or something.
Any other questions for Steve? No, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Emery, call the roll, please.
Mr. Coffin?
Yes.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Ms. Whitney?
Yes.
Mr. Andriano?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next?
And our last item for regular business is Commerce Park D1. This is approval of a supplemental agreement, number 2 for NAC Logistics. This is Pearl Smith's business over in the industrial park. Is looking to rent space from us out here in this parking lot for storage of 4 tractor trailers for a 1-year term at the rates, terms, and conditions you see before you.
This is something new. Have we done this before?
No, this is,
First time?
so he has a customer over in Canada that's moving cars across the bridge using car carriers
Oh.
and needed a location to park. And so he talked to me and we worked something out for this parking area out here. So we get some revenue
Yeah.
off the rental as well as the traffic back and forth across the bridge.
Good.
Good deal.
Yeah.
I'll move it.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Emery, call the roll, please.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Ms. Whitney?
Yes.
Mr. Andriano?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Coffin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, there is a need to go into executive session for matters. Hang on here just a second. It's not one of the normal ones we use. Section 105, executive session, matters which will imperil the public safety is disclosed relating to the airport.
Okay.
Doesn't sound as bad as it is. It's law enforcement. Law enforcement. That's a bad feeling.
You're making it go interpretations.
I move we go into executive session.
There's a motion, second. All those in favor of going into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are in executive session at, what is that? 4:55?